Started with 5 people in my phone, door knocked, farmed, have a team, built up a team started about 5 years ago, and we've been number one KW office, Keller Williams office in California for the last 3 years in terms of volume and sold units as well. That's my few of my teammates right there. Thank you. Thanks, guys. You get a lead later, huh? Just kidding. So so pretty much, I don't want to talk about too much about myself. I do a lot of business. We helped about 140 families last year. The year before was 110, and the year before that was 100 and something as well. So kind of, we're at the ceiling as well. We're looking for breakthroughs. That's why I'm always happy to be here and network with everybody and learn new stuff so that we can improve our own business. Let's get into it. So can I see a show of hands? How many here is less than 2 years in the business? Less than 2 years. Okay, great. Thanks, guys. How many of you guys are around 5 years, left and right, or more than 5 years in the business, but less than 10 years? Okay, and I'm assuming everybody else has been doing this for decades? This guy, yes. Okay. The reason I want to do that because I want to kind of ask you guys what you guys want to know, right? Because I've been doing this from ground zero, and a lot of these agents here, they actually see my growth, like Angela, Irene. I mean, we got a bunch of people here. They see me from brand new agent, come in and don't know what to do at all. No leads, no database, no nothing, and got to where I am and consistently staying at that and building a team and all that. So why don't we just start with questions? Any questions?
So thank you for making time for us today.
My pleasure.
So my question was, I know we talked a little bit where you said if there was one thing you could focus on consistently would be your database or anything. But when you said you're constantly hitting your database, what do you mean by that in the sense of what are you hitting them with? What are you putting out there as content? Just if you can just elaborate.
Absolutely, that's a really good question. So what we were talking about earlier, I believe he was talking about, okay, my business has been kind of staggering for the last couple of years at a certain production. How do I break through that, right? And this happened to me as well. A lot of times, I believe that I broke a lot of different ceilings. But every time I get there, I mean, one of the biggest things, my question to you was, what do you focus on? What are you doing on a daily basis to your database? Does everybody know what database is? Yeah? Like with all your clients, who they are, what they do, what's the last conversation like? And if you have an upgraded version, you can see them searching and see what they're looking at, right? And you can send emails. Anyways, so database is very important because that's, in Keller Williams, we call it a data bank. It's not really the database, it's our bank. That's how our money is from, right? It's the people. And we all know in this business, it's all in the follow-ups. It's not how beautiful we presented ourselves at an open house and picked up 20 people on the sign sheet. Let me ask you guys, for whom that been in the business for a while, how many of those people on that 20 people, how many of them are actually becoming a closing? Silence, right? If you get one, congratulations, that's awesome, you've done a great job, right? Why is that? Why is that? Why we make such a good connection and seem like, oh my God, I'm your agent. I mean, no question about it. The reason why it's all in the follow-ups. Everybody know that, right? It's all in the follow-ups. It's not in the initial meeting. And I think the national, they did a study, is about getting someone on the phone after the initial meeting. It's about 7 to 9 follow-ups after the initial meeting. So that's why I mean by database management is very important. When we get those people in our database, we need to touch them. And they might not just pick up. You're like, oh my God, this person loves me at an open house. On Monday, you called them, you're all excited. You did all your research on MLS. You're like, oh, this is beautiful. You call them twice, no pickup. What do? Right? Are you going to keep calling them that day? Probably not. But you want to have a system where you will be reminded to follow up again in maybe 2 days, maybe tomorrow, right? Text message, phone call, email, always. Phone call is always most effective because the face-to-face is most effective, but it's hard to get that. That's why the initial phone call is very important. That's where we get the face-to-face. We cannot close it on the phone call, rarely. at least my experience. Closing in terms of getting into contract, right? It needs to be a face-to-face. And frankly speaking, our team, we don't even work with buyers if they don't sign the exclusive agreement. How do you do that? It's very difficult to do on the phone. You have to get the face-to-face. So what I mean by follow-up, always come with value. One thing we learned recently is like before we always call like a client, be like, hey, I just wanted to check in with you. How's the hunting? How's the house hunting happening? Right now, we changed that mentality because we need to come from value. It's not checking in. We're not checking in. We're calling, be like, hey, I just saw 2 homes. I think it fits your criteria. When are you available to see it? Right? Hey, and then if the client gives any kind of like pushback, we're not, that serious or that, we need to be on them. Like, okay, let's revisit our original motivation. You told me you were 6 point or 8 point in the past. What has changed in the last couple of months? Like every phone call is very, very direct into the close. And the close is just to get to the next step of our conversation, pushing the ball a little bit farther to the closing, right, to the ratification. So database follow-up is very important. I don't typically go into a database and just think about exactly what I'm gonna say, but I look at the notes, get in there, exactly what the last conversation is all about. I talk about that. Hey, how's your dog? Your dog was in a coma, right? Is your dog still alive? You got a new dog, right? But database follow-up is very important. It's all about the follow-up, to say that. And then we can talk more in private in terms of like some of the other things besides just a phone call we can do, like emails, text messages. We do that as well, yeah.
And just last, who do you use for your CRM?
We use Chime for the last few years. It's pretty powerful. You can dial, you can call, you can mass text message, email, you can track everything that they'll look at, you can do a portal, and it's like a fraction of a price of like Boomtown and Top Producer and all that. It's very cost efficient, so we use that. Mm-hmm. My pleasure. Go ahead, ladies first, always.
Just to follow up what you were just saying, you meet with, I don't know, 10, 20, 30, 40 people in an open house. How do you remember what that key point was about that open house? What systems are you using? When do that go follow up their mind?
That's a good question because for a lot of the newer agents, including myself, I built up my database from doing a lot of open houses, right? And open houses are extremely important because that's probably the easiest way for any of us try to get some new business because people coming in are literally people raising their hands. I'm interested, something, right? So number one, I think, just to read back, so how we do open houses and all our agents, we do the same routine, is that, if it's not a busy open house, we can have the best conversation, right? There's only one guy there for 20 minutes. That's all, we can go on. But most of the times, if it's a good open house, you get like constantly people coming in, right? What's the goal of an open house? Number one, the goal is to sell the house. Don't get that wrong, it's not to get more business, right? To sell the house. The second goal is if they don't like that house, let me try to find you another one, right? That's the whole goal about it. So when it comes to the open house, we have a system, like for example, we have the 1, 2, 3 questions in the beginning. When people come in, before they even walk in the door, like you have to be like super warm all that and do that, all that, like pull them in. But the first thing we want to find out is who are they? Are they a buyer? Are they a seller? Are they just a looky-loo? Are they a neighbor? What's up? So I can assess, when there's a lot of people here, I can assess who I want to spend more time with, right? Because I have a better chance of getting that. So the first question usually is, how do you find out about the open house? Or how many open houses have you seen? How do you find out about the open house? And typically the answer is, I saw it from Redfin. I saw it from Zillow. I saw it from internet. Immediately that will tell me that's a possible buyer, right? Second one, be like, I'm a neighbor. I just saw your signs. Thank you so much for your support. In my mind, is that you're a possible seller, right? So it's like immediately identifying that. And then depends on the open house. And then the second question I want to know is, are they working with the agent? Because we don't want to touch anybody if somebody's like, I'm working with Judy, or I'm working with, Kenny, I'm working with Joey. It's all good. Hey, go check it out. Let me know if you have any questions. Joey's a great agent. Put something good in there, right? You're in good hands, right? All that stuff. How do I ask that? You can ask it straight, or I can ask, if they say like, how do you find out about I saw it from Redfin. Oh, are you working with the Redfin agent? Huh? Like the picture that showed up on the side of the screen when you look at Redfin, they have agents. oh, no, we're not working with the reference agent. I'm working with blah, 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 blah. They usually will just tell us. We'll be like, no, I'm not working with any agents. Right? Immediately, I got 2 stones down. I know who they are, and do I have a shot? And then the third question is diving into a little deeper, like, okay, like, what brought you, like, what interests you, right? Like, and then you dive into it. So why I say that you really want to make a connection, and what we're learning right now is that, with people, especially with this initial interaction, to make an impression is very important, not so much diving into the details of the technical stuff. So what it means is always you try to connect. You want to connect as much as you can, personally. If you have nothing to say, be like, nice shoes. Where you get your shoes? I love it. I didn't get my mom a gift. I love that. Is that Chanel? Beautiful, right? Where you get that, right? Random, right? Are you a watch guy? Because that's bling right there. I like that. Right? Stuff like that. Just be random, but you have to connect. The most you connect, and then make sure when you end that conversation, you're letting them go, you want to get the contact. Of course, you have to get the contact. You have to get the phone number, not just emails. You know what happens with emails, right? It's wasted. That's all it is. There's no replies. You have to get the phone number. And you have to figure out how you can close that. The closing in the open house for me is 2 closes. Number 1, the most basic close is get their contact information. Name, email, phone number. No email, okay, but phone number, right? The second thing I will close besides that is closing on the consultation immediately on the spot, right? If they're a buyer, I'll talk to them, I educate them a little bit, asking a couple questions. They have like, I don't know what you're talking about. Great, let me tell you about it a little bit. Spray some value, and then you close it. You don't give it all the way, but you close it. Close it by, hey, I'd love to do a 30-minute consultation with you and do a deep dive with you and find out a little bit more about your needs and see how I can help, right? Hey, have you heard about this and that property coming up on the market? No, we haven't seen it. Well, I know information on it. Would you like to know more about them? Great, okay, great. So here's what I do. I love to talk to you for 30 minutes, blah, blah, blah. Give them the pen, have them write it down, right? And then give you a little tip too. Because remember, it's all in the follow-up. The open house, you just have to, if you can close it on the consultation, close it on the contact information. If you're holding the phone, I don't know how you guys do it. If I'm holding a phone, I'll be like, okay, let me get your information, right? Okay, what's your email? I usually ask for the email first because it's very easy for people to give you that, right? Sometimes you're like, what's your phone number? It's like, email is okay. It's awkward, right? What's your email? Okay, blah, blah, blah. Oh, wait, let me double check. Is it an A? Like, okay. And then just by looking at the phone, be like, okay, great, I got that. 650. 415. Oh, 415, what is it? Okay, cool, I got it. Okay, thank you. Right? Straight up, just close it. There's no hesitation there. Or if they're holding the pen, have them write the email first. When they're almost done with a dot and then CO, be like, what's the best number to reach you as well? They'll just write it down as well. Right? So there's a little techniques in there and there. But I'm just saying in the open house, really want to connect, make an impression. Because when you follow up, you want to make sure you catch something on the last conversation you had during the open house and start with that. Instead of like, hey, I'm Disen, I'm a real estate agent. People are like, I don't remember you. We're like, oh yeah, you're like that 1 out of 20 agents we met this weekend, right? Your conversion goes way down. But if you have something to connect, like, hey, you know what, I'm so sorry, I want to apologize. What's up? I was so busy at the open house, I didn't have enough time to find out a little bit more about your dog, or whatever, right? You hop onto that, and then you start a conversation from there, and then you dive into the real, right? Whatever you want to do, close down the consultation. So that's really kind of, I don't know if I kind of give you a...
Yeah, I guess what my question, follow up from that is, are you remembering these conversations? Or are you taking notes on your, on the sign-in list? Or so you can follow up about
Very
the
important.
dog or whatever the conversation?
Usually, if I create a habit, if you update your CRM immediately after the open house, I remember. But if I waited, or if I met the person on Saturday, I'm like, it's all good, I got 3 pages of leads, I'm gonna do this follow-up on Monday, I might lose some information there, right? So it's about creating a habit. And the best practice, I will feel like immediately you get the contact, even at the open house, shoot them a text message, immediately. Hey, this is Disen. I'm gonna catch up with you on Monday. I'll give you those information that you're looking for, right? Have a good day. right? Stuff like that. So great, my pleasure, my pleasure.
Hello, testing.
Thank you.
So I know you mentioned earlier that when you initially started your career that you were doing door knocking. I was wondering if you could sort of elaborate on the practices that you were doing, like sort of time frames, scripts,
Yep.
and then just kind of overall,
Yep.
kind of like how many doors you're knocking and just overall duration.
Absolutely. And you're looking, are you a newer agent or you've been there for a little bit?
I would say I'm a newer agent.
Okay, perfect. You know what, I would say farming is very important. You can do that. You don't have to be successful by farming, but by farming, you're creating another source of continuous thing that will come back to you later on. It's like a piggy bank. That's what farming is. We're putting a little dime in there, put a penny there tomorrow, put a quarter there. Over time, immediately there's not much money in there, but over time, it will come back, right? I'm still feeding off a lot of my listing leads today. I signed 70-something listings last year myself. I'm getting all that listing. A lot of those listings are just coming to me from farming days, right? I don't door knock anymore. I door knock for about 3 to 4 years, like Monday to Friday. So what I do with farming is that, door knocking is that I don't door knock random doors. I choose a geographical area. My area had to be in Millbrae. It's about 1,200 something houses, right? Those are the only homes I'm door knocking. So I use every single day, Monday to Friday, in the afternoon, I'm done with everything. Around 4 to 5 o'clock, I go door knock. And I only hit a block a day, back and forth, one block, right? Because I know I'm going back tomorrow for another block, right? So I just do that. Once I finish the first door to the last door of 1,200 something doors, I go back to the first door again. That typically take about a month and a half to 2 months to do that. And then every time I show up, I was a brand new agent. I got no scripts. I got nothing. I was just in the suit, just like, okay, you got a house, maybe one day you will sell. Just introducing myself. Hey, my name is Disen. I'm a real estate agent. I grew up in this area. I want to come here and introduce myself. Hey, how are you? Oh, something smells good in there. Are you cooking? That's all. Literally, just farming. But the thing about farming and door knocking, we have to be consistent. I got my first listing in my farm after 2 years of door knocking. How many people can hang on to that? There's a lot of people can do door knocking, but how many people can keep door knocking and not seeing result time after time and stay on it, right? That's about having faith. That's why I think it's very important when we're educating ourselves, finding someone that's already been there and done that, or a system, a model that's already been proven, and put your faith in there and just put your head down and just work it out. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your advice. I want to go down.